What's up guys, we're doing another video on the 1963 F100. We're just kind of moving along with some of the body work here. And as you can see, the hood looks significantly different than where we started. It's because I've been very busy working on the rust, trying to make sure that all the rust was gone. There was a little bit of a dent on the passenger side. So what I did was drill some holes in the metal. I put a little key, like an Allen key in there, and just kind of like rigged up a way where I could pull the metal back as flat as I could. And then I welded the holes back up with a MIG welder. And then now we're gonna be able to body work that part way easier. The rest of the hood was completely covered in rust. I had to make sure that I really got through all the surface rust, got down to the bare metal. And there was a couple areas where, as you can see here with the self-etching primer, I wasn't able to get all the rust out of there. I was still able to get most of it out, but the real deep rust that wasn't really problematic, and I knew I could seal it in and it's never going to show again, I just hit it with a self-etching primer. So the request was to show how I did some metal work. So that's what this video is going to be about. We are going to fix this hole on the driver's side of the truck, and I'm going to show you a little closer look at that. All right, so as you can see, it's rusted all the way through, and it's a pretty good section right there, but we do have good metal all the way around there. So all we're gonna have to do is fabricate a little piece to go in there. And we can actually see here that the rust actually goes all the way to the bottom side of the hood. So we know that we're gonna have to cut just past that and then form a little piece in there. And then I'll show you how I go about shaping it and all that stuff. So first, I'm gonna kind of clean this area up. I did put some primer just from a rattle can on there. The weather changes so drastically that it like sweats when it gets cold and then hot and back and forth. So I did put some primer on it just to kind of seal it up. But as you can see, nice smooth surface. There's no rust showing through here at all. So we just need to get this little area taken care of, and then the hood will be good to go. I already know that this is not the safest welding cart. I have it set up with a MIG 135 from Eastwood. I've used this welder for pretty much everything, and it's pretty awesome. You can run flux core or you can run gas, which I obviously use gas. All right, so the very first thing that I do is I sand away some of the paint to try to see where my good metal is. You're gonna know where your good metal is because there will just be no rust on it. It'll be nice, shiny, look like brand new. So that's about in here and about over here, considering that there's some more underneath the hood here. And then fortunately, we have good metal all the way across here. We have plenty of good metal to patch to. So the first thing that I do is I always mark it with a Sharpie to kind of give myself an idea of where I need to make my cut. And then we'll go through and make our template and start making our metal. I wanted to apologize for the lengthy delay as far as getting this video out to you guys, because I ran out of welding gas, which was obviously not ideal. So I had to call around to a bunch of different places, and I'm part of like a cylinder exchange. And I had to call to several different places. I think I ended up on the phone with like 12 different places, and then finally got a hold of one who said that no, they didn't have the bottle size that I was needing with the welding gas that I was needing. So then he said, hang on a minute, my truck driver just pulled in, and then ironically, literally they had one bottle on the truck. So I ran up there, we're good to go now, and now we can continue moving forward with patching up this panel here. First of all, we have to go around this little section that we're gonna repair right here, and we're gonna have to make sure that we have nice shiny metal all the way around, and then we're gonna start making our little piece that we're gonna weld in here. All right, so if we're looking at this section of the hood, you can see that I've cut back all of the rusted parts, or all of the really badly rusted parts, and we're going to make this little outer piece that's going to weld in here. So the repair panel will have a little 90-degree bend in it. That way we can come down through here and weld it to the inner layer of steel that we have. So we're gonna have to make a patch to fit this section with a 90-degree bend that'll finish it off from here to here, and then we'll have a good repair that's not gonna rust in the near future. So usually people will use a piece of cardboard or something as a template to lay in there, and that's perfectly fine. Really, you just need to make sure that you get something that you can kind of form to what's currently here. Personally, I like to intentionally make the repair panel a little too big. That way, as I'm like kind of shaping it, I can make sure it's a perfect fit, and we're not gonna have any kind of gaps or anything that we can't weld. So I like to kind of take my time. I'll take a measurement here first, and then I'll cut the piece just slightly bigger than that, and then we'll go in and kind of mark where it's supposed to go. So rather than making a template for this, I'm just gonna take some measurements, and then we'll start slowly trimming this back to make it all fit. All right guys, so I've got kind of the rough shape cut out here, and then I went ahead and started a bend in it. I just kind of guesstimated where it would be at, and Obviously we have some trimming to do, but it's not looking that bad really. So the bend probably needs to be a little tighter because it actually looks like it's going to be more than 90 degrees. So I just make marks on my piece of metal, and then you can see I've already hit it with a hammer a few times, so that's why there's some little crinkles in there, but we'll straighten all that out. Yeah, so we just need a little tighter bend, and I think just some shaping and grinding down a little bit, and this thing will fit perfectly. So we're gonna go over my workbench and I'll show you how I make these bends on this piece of metal. Ignore the super crazy workbench right now. I've got a lot of projects going on, but literally all we're going to do is set it here in this bench vise. You'll snug it up. And the edge of the hood has kind of like a gradual radius to it. It's not like a super sharp corner, you know what I'm saying? So if you leave a super sharp corner, then it's going to look very obvious. So honestly, all I do is I either try to push it by hand, that's how I get it started, and then sometimes it gets a little tighter, and then I just use a hammer and flatten it out a little bit. So I strike all the way down through here along this bend, and then I move this piece as I go along through here, and I just try to tighten the bend up. So I'm gonna do it on a time lapse as I go all the way down the piece of metal, and then once you're completed with it, you can lay it flat on the bench and kind of hammer it back out to flatten out this little flange here. So we're gonna do that on a time lapse, just so you can kind of see how that all works, and then we'll go fit it back on the truck. Okay, so we've got the bottom all leveled out now. Everything looks nice and straight across there. And the next step now is just get this little arch that's going on, kind of this little curve that's going on the hood. So we're gonna try to put that onto this little panel. That's probably going to be the hardest part. Again, you're gonna do it the same way with the hammer and the bench vise. It's the same way that I do it. So I'm gonna take you back over to the bench vise and show you kind of how I get that little roll in there. All right, so this is the same concept, except you kind of just want to start in the middle. At least that's what I do. Again, I'm not a professional at this, but you just want to kind of give it a little bit of a pull, move this downward a little bit, give it another little pull, and then just keep repeating that until you get all the way down to the bottom. I got something weird with my bench vise where it keeps getting stuck, but so all the way to the bottom of the panel. Okay, and then you're going to just continue working that same little curve out all the way across the panel. So you're gonna kind of scoot it and do the same thing that you were doing. All right, so as you can see through there, we're kind of starting to get that little shape that we're wanting. So we're gonna go back over to the truck, fit this up. As this starts to fit a little bit better, we'll start trimming it up, making sure that this little bend is nice and smooth, and then we'll just continue from there. Very close, we need just a little less curve in it, but we do have a good starting and ending point here, so we really just need to straighten this little section out. And then over here on this side, we need to put a little bit more bend on it and then straighten it out through the midsection as well. So, and then once we get that, honestly, we're just gonna be trimming and fitting, and this is gonna be really good. So one very easy way to kind of straighten this little curve out, or I guess to flatten it out, is to just stick it in the vise sideways and just kind of snug it a little bit. You don't wanna snug it all the way down because then it's gonna start putting kinks in it, but just a little bit to kind of bend it backwards. You want to go just past where you want it and then let go of it, because obviously it's going to have some rebound to it. So we're going to go all the way down through here, straighten up where we need to, and then see if we can get this curve to perfectly match what the hood is doing currently. All right guys, so I think we have the right idea, the best fit that we're going to get here. So we're going to go ahead and trim everything else out of the way. The reason why it's sitting up a little bit right here is because it's just sitting on some metal back. So if you were to lay it flat, it's got the same kind of contour right there. So we just need to clear out all the stuff that's holding this up and grind it back a little bit, make sure everything is nice and solid, and then we'll go ahead and weld this in there and see what it looks like. So I just wanted to stop this process before I got too far along. So basically all we're doing now is we've gone through and we've welded. You probably want to space it out farther than that at first, but you'll just weld here, weld here, weld here, weld down here somewhere, and then you'll just kind of let it cool down just enough. It's cold out here right now, so obviously that time depends on what kind of weather you're working in, and then you'll just go between those spot welds that you had done. So, and then after you get every inch of this little seam completely welded up, you'll go back through here and then you'll try to smooth them out. So as you can see, like right here, I've got perfect blending right there. And then as we come down through here, we're starting to blend all these in. If there are any kind of pinholes, I just go through and kind of figure out where they're at, put another little tack weld there, and then grind it down and just keep doing that process. Down here on the corner, I was an idiot and I didn't have my gas on, so it just burnt a hole straight through there. So I'll have to go and fix that up. But everything else all the way along there is starting to look pretty good. Everything's blending in nice and smoothly. You can see where the spot welds are, and I just have to kind of keep grinding them down. And as you can see from this angle, you can see that we're fitting that contour that we were wanting perfectly. So this is going to be a good repair. So I'm going to go ahead and finish it off here, and then we'll get some filler put on there, and then we'll come back and check how everything is turning out. But basically what I do for these little burn through spots, if it's small enough, I'll kind of just start welding around the edge of it and kind of work my way in, and then I'll grind it down. And if there's like little pinholes, I'll just keep doing that over and over and over again until you fill that hole in. Guys, so here we are at the repair area again, and you can see underneath this very thin layer of primer that I put on here, that's pretty much just to keep the flash rusting off of here. There's a little bit of Bondo there, not a whole lot, just to kind of give us that shape that we're wanting, but I think it turned out pretty good. And we're gonna have to do a little bit more body work to kind of perfectly smooth this in and get everything absolutely perfect, but this is definitely going to be much better than what we were dealing with. I wanted to get to this point because I just wanted to get this video out to you guys on how I do some stuff. So this may not be the most professional way. Actually, I know it's not the most professional way to do this, but with the tools that I have available to me, this is what I do. It's just pound the metal out by hand, and then it ends up looking pretty good. So obviously we have a ton of work still to do on the truck, but I just wanted to make this video on the one panel. I'm gonna show you guys now some of the tools that I use. That way, if you're interested in buying those tools, then you can check them out. All these are budget-friendly tools. That's all I really buy. But this is the Eastwood MIG 135. I'll leave a link to that down in the description. That's an absolutely perfect welder. You can do flux core with it. Then you can change the polarity of it and then hook up argon, CO2 like I have. You can weld some really thin sheet metal with that. You can also run some really thin wire. Definitely a very good beginner machine. Like myself, I'm not a professional welder by any means. I just bought that because I wanted to learn how to weld. So I bought that unit. It was when the whole pandemic thing was going on and I wanted to learn how to weld. So I went up and I bought that machine from Eastwood, and it was curbside pickup only. And I drove like over 2 hours, maybe 3 hours to go pick it up. And unfortunately it was curbside pickup only because I was wanting to go in Eastwood. But regardless, I got the welder and I took it back home, started learning how to weld on it, and it was all through trial and error. And of course, watching some YouTube videos like you guys are watching right now. And that's what's led to all of this. So it's just been a lot of practice and just jumping into it. Don't be afraid to try something, because the worst thing that can happen is you absolutely screw it up. And then if you can't figure it out, then you can just have somebody who knows what they're doing figure it out for you real quick if that's the route you want to go. Me, on the other hand, am very stubborn, and I will keep trying something until I figure it out. So that's exactly why I got the machine. Regardless, it's a very affordable welder, and I definitely recommend it. By far the best investment that I've made as far as doing my own projects. This is one that I recently found out about, and it's genius, absolutely genius. So these are mixing sheets for body filler, and as you can see, it's just like a little wax type paper. You just peel that off and super clean. You got a clean surface. You don't have to worry about going through here and cleaning everything off. I don't know if you guys have used like clipboards and stuff or cardboard to mix this stuff on, but This is super easy and saves you a lot of time because you can just take this, crumble it up, and then throw it in the trash. Okay, as soon as I cut to the end of this video, I am going to jump into rewiring this Nova. And so this video will be coming out very, very soon. And it's how to strip out all the old wiring harness stuff. And then behind that office chair, I have the new wiring harness. But it's all gonna go in there, and then we'll get this thing all buttoned up, ready for EFI. And that's gonna be coming out very soon. But for right now, we are still moving forward with this truck right here, and everything's starting to look really good. And if you guys have any questions at all, because I know this wasn't like a super in-depth tutorial on like how to weld and all that stuff, but if you guys have any questions at all, I can try my best to answer them in my Facebook group if you want to go join that. The link for that will also be down in the description. And again, all the products that I've used in this video will also be down in the description below. But the point of this video was to show you guys that you don't have to have the most ideal setup to get work done. So I wanted to show you how I did it. I'm already preparing myself for the hate comments because I know there's always that one person that doesn't like the way that I just did things. So, but other than that, make sure that you are subscribed and make sure that you stay tuned for the channel because I have some serious updates coming, like some life-changing updates, and it's all gonna happen super fast. So thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.